Hello guys, welcome back to All Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Renegade Immortal based on novel. So let's start. There was a demonic flame flickering in his eyes. His clothes moved without any wind, and slivers of demonic aura diffused into the air. When Oyenghua saw all of this, he couldn't help but be shocked. He sucked in a breath of cold air as he took a few steps back and muttered to himself, "Rumor has it that the first time a foreigner comes into contact with a demon spirit crystal, there is a change in the demonic energy in their body." The demonic force that the demon spirit crystal left inside his body made him feel very comfortable. This feeling was very intoxicating. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and the demonic flames in his eyes disappeared, then the demonic aura around him disappeared as well, as if nothing abnormal had happened. This celestial spiritual energy filled with demonic energy is too strange. After absorbing this energy, it formed its own area. I can faintly feel that this aura should be able to be combined with celestial spiritual energy and thus increase one's cultivation. However, right now this demonic energy is too small and impossible to test. Wang Lin pondered for a moment before touching his bag of holding. More than a dozen bottles flew out and landed at Oyenghua's feet. Oyenghua trembled, then he checked each bottle before putting them away. He was currently very excited. "You can leave. I'll need to cultivate here. When tomorrow arrives, I'll leave by myself," said Wang Lin calmly. He then no longer bothered with Oyenghua as he began to feel the demonic spirit crystal that had formed inside his body. Oyenghua quickly nodded, then he respectfully clasped his hands at Wang Lin before leaving. Soon, this place became silent, but occasionally there would be laughter coming from the fire in the distance. Wang Lin's entire focus was on his dantian. He was feeling the demonic spirit crystal. If I have a lot of these, even if I can't fuse them with celestial spiritual energy, they will still become another force. There are at least 1,000 cultivators that came in, and I believe everyone's goal is this demonic spirit crystal. The killing between cultivators is probably to steal the demonic spirit crystals inside each other. I just don't know what other effects this demonic spirit crystal has. This demonic energy must have other uses, or else there is no way it could have caused so much bloodshed over the countless years. I'm afraid there are still secrets I don't know hidden within it. Only when I solve all of these mysteries can I decide my future direction. 500 years is not long, but it is not short either. However, if absorbing more demonic spirit crystals can help increase my cultivation, then I might as well just let myself loose and go in a killing spree like back in the Sea of Devils. A flash of cold light appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and he licked his lips. Time slowly passed and it was now late at night. Although the fire was still going, most of the villagers had returned to their homes. Only the women and children went to rest, while all the male grabbed various weapons and gathered at the entrance of the valley. Oyenghua was among them. His eyes were very serious as he stared outside the valley. Shortly after, he turned around to look at the good-shaped area deep within the valley. That was where Wang Lin was cultivating. I hope this formation can hold against the demonic spirits. I wish that Supreme Celestial would lend a hand. Oyenghua let out a sigh. The reason he invited Wang Lin into the valley, aside from the fact that he couldn't stop him, was because the formation had been severely weakened. He wasn't sure if the formation could still hold, which was why he did all he could to make Wang Lin stay. He even told Wang Lin a lot of secrets and was even willing to exchange the demonic spirit crystal, which was the heart of their village. Oyenghua had a reason for doing all of this, and that was when the village was facing danger, Wang Lin would lend a hand. He looked at the villagers around him before letting out a sigh and saying, "I don't need to say what needs to be done on the night of demon spirits. If we can hold out for the night, then everything will be safe." Wang Lin suddenly opened his eyes while cultivating and raised his head to look up into the sky. Although the sky was still completely dark, to Wang Lin, there were changes. Inside this darkness was a purple aura, and there were bursts of demonic energy with varying strength spreading across the horizon. This valley wasn't its target, only a place it was passing by. While staring at the sky, Wang Lin revealed a determined expression. He pressed his hand on his forehead and his origin soul left his body. He then flew out of the valley, past the formation, and went directly into the sky. The origin soul didn't stop as it charged toward the direction where the surge of demonic energy was coming from. The closer he got, the stronger the pressure from the demonic energy became. The scope of this demonic energy was simply too large, so it was impossible to see where it ended. Along the way, all of the land that the demonic energy passed by would be left barren, and the animals would let out miserable groans before turning to white skeletons. Upon seeing all of this, Wang Lin frowned slightly. At this moment, if one looked at the demonic spirit land from above, they would see a purple aura spreading out from a central location. The range of this was too large, and that is large when compared to the entire demonic spirit land. Wang Lin's sliver of origin soul quickly retreated after checking. However, at this moment, his origin soul suddenly stopped, and he spread out his divine sense and pierced deep into the demonic energy wave. He saw that in the depths of this demonic energy wave, beside the endless waves of demonic energy, there was a person. This person was wearing a black robe, had a cold complexion, thin lips, and overall looked very vicious. Right now he had a black sword in his hand, and as he swung his sword, there was a strange, purple aura surrounding it. At the same time, this person was madly absorbing a large amount of demonic energy. At the moment Wang Lin's divine senses swept by, the man slowly raised his head and looked toward Wang Lin before revealing an extremely cold smile. Your cultivation isn't bad to be able to find my existence. I originally wanted to surprise you. The black-robed man pointed his sword and said, meeting me was your misfortune. Even if you hand over your demonic spirit crystal, it is pointless. You are my prey. Wang Lin's origin soul coldly looked at the person and then flew back without a word. The black-robed man didn't stop but revealed a smile of contempt. A mere mid-stage soul transformation cultivator. No matter what sect you are from, you will die today for sure. After absorbing his demonic spirit crystal, I should barely meet the requirement to enter the Sky Demon City. A hint of fervor appeared in his eyes. Inside the valley, Wang Lin's origin soul returned and his eyes turned cold. He is the first planet Chen cultivator I met here. He is at the peak of the late stage of soul transformation, but it will not be so easy if he wishes to kill me. Outside the valley, the demonic energy wave surged forth like a tidal wave toward the valley. The formation around the valley immediately lit up, it seemed to be holding off the pressure of the demonic energy. But the pressure of the demonic energy didn't only hit once, it lasted for a while. The light around the valley began to flicker and show signs of not being able to withstand it much longer. Although it was still quiet inside the valley, there was tension in the air. All of the adult males were standing at the entrance to the valley and clenching their weapons. Sweat covered their palms, and as they stared attentively at the entrance to the valley, their breathing became rough. Ouyang Hua was standing before everyone. He had his hand raised and was chanting a complex language to maintain the formation. The Night of Demon Spirits happened every 3 months, and with how long Ouyang Hua has been around, he was usually confident in the formation, but today he was very uneasy. The formation had been weakened greatly by Wang Lin, so he had no idea if it would be able to hold against tonight's demon spirits. Once the formation breaks, all life inside the valley will be devoured by the demon spirits hiding inside the demonic energy. As waves of demonic energy hit the formation seemed to not be able to hold out much longer, and there were even cracks appearing on it. Just at this moment, a loud rumble could be heard. This was clearly from someone smashing into the formation, which caused more cracks to appear. The people inside the valley could clearly feel the power of the collision. Many women and children were awakened by the shock. Far away from the valley, the man in the black robe waved his sword and splattered blood everywhere. A completely black beast that was about 1 meter long and had a single horn had appeared. At almost the instant it appeared, it was cut in half by the black-robed man. After killing the beast, the black-robed man took one breath and a strand of demonic energy came from the body of the mysterious beast and entered his body. A very comfortable feeling immediately filled his body. Shortly after, his eyes lit up and stared at the valley in the distance. He revealed a cruel smile as he waved his sword and threw it toward the valley. The black-robed man's body floated into the air, then he landed on the sword and charged directly toward the valley. Inside the valley, Wang Lin stood up, took a step, and turned into a cloud of green smoke before reappearing in front of Ouyang Hua and company. His appearance was completely silent. This caused the expressions of all the villagers to change greatly, and they unconsciously stepped back. Ouyang Hua revealed a joyous expression and he quickly said, "Supreme Celestial, save us." Just as he finished speaking, the sword flew in from the distance along with the black-robed man's cold voice. The hunt begins. Wang Lin's expression remained the same, but Ouyang Hua revealed a look of terror and bitterness that he had never shown before. "I'm going to witness a battle between two foreigners." Just at this moment, a ray of sword energy flashed by, causing the formation to tremble and a large amount of cracks to appear on it. Wang Lin sneered and slapped his bag of holding. With one shake, the restriction flag turned into strands of restriction gas that rushed into the formation and zoomed along the cracks. The cracks in the formation recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and with the addition of the restriction flag, the power of the formation increased several-fold. After doing all of this, Wang Lin took one step and then completely disappeared. When he reappeared, he was outside the valley. The black-robed man coldly looked at Wang Lin from 100 feet away. There were strands of purple gas moving around each of them like ghosts. Wang Lin's right hand pointed at the air and a demonic spirit beast suddenly let out a miserable scream and disappeared. The black-robed man carefully studied Wang Lin and his eyes narrowed. The arrogance from before was gone, and now he hesitated and asked, "What sect does your excellency belong to?" 3 strands of grey gas moved between Wang Lin's fingers, creating a howling sound. He stared coldly at the man in black robes and said, "What's with all this nonsense? If you're not going to battle, then leave immediately." The black-robed man laughed in anger and said, "What an arrogant person. If it wasn't for the fact that you look familiar and I don't want to hurt a friend or someone I know, why would I even talk to you? Since you want to die, I'll grant your wish." Wang Lin didn't even bother to talk to this person. As the person was talking, Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the celestial sword appeared. He then took one step and slashed with the celestial sword. A ray of sword energy several feet tall flew out and descended upon the man like lightning. At the same time, the half-moon blade closely followed behind like a bolt of lightning. When the black-robed man saw the sword energy, he immediately backed up and shouted, "So it is a fellow cultivator from the Da Lu sword sect. You know the rules here. Hand over the crystal and I won't hurt you." As the sword energy closed in, the black-robed man raised his sword to block it. He was knocked back several feet, but the sword energy quickly collapsed. However, at the moment the sword energy collapsed, a cracking sound came from the sword in his hand and a crack appeared on it. When the black-robed man looked at the cracked flying sword in his hand, his eyes became extremely cold. "You dare to damage my flying sword? Today, even if you are a member of the Da Lu sword sect, you will die." His hand formed a seal and a black flame appeared in his palm. The man shouted, "Earth-extinguishing flame, burn him to nothing." He then pointed forward and the black flame flew forward. While in the air, the flame scattered into countless smaller flames and rained down on Wang Lin. As soon as the black flame rained down, there was a flash of ghostly light. This light caused the black-robed man's expression to change greatly and forced his body back 3 inches. However, he was too late. He suddenly saw blood spew out from the right side of his chest, then he revealed a look of disbelief as he quickly backed up while taking out some pills and swallowing them. The half-moon blade appeared next to the celestial sword in a flash. There was still some blood on the blade. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. The cultivation of the person before him was indeed powerful. It has to be said that the half-moon blade is extremely fast, and even if Wang Lin himself were to face it, it would be hard to avoid disaster if he wasn't prepared ahead of time. Yet this person was able to force himself to move 3 inches at the critical moment to avoid fatal injury. That meant that his divine sense was much more powerful than Wang Lin's and was able to detect the trajectory of the half-moon blade. A hint of killing intent appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Since this person's cultivation was stronger, then he must be killed now. If he is allowed to escape, recover, and learn Wang Lin's attacks, then when he comes back, Wang Lin won't be able to resist. Taking advantage of the moment that his enemy was injured due to the surprise attack of the half-moon blade, he charged out. Wang Lin completely ignored the flames in the sky as he charged forth like lightning and pressed his thumb down on the void. Finger of Death. The black-robed man pressed his hand on his chest and the injury immediately healed. His face was pale as he viciously stared at Wang Lin. He shook the sword in his hand and said, "Sword scatter." With one shout, the sword shattered into tiny pieces before him and then charged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, but he didn't dodge. 2 of the 3 strands of grey gas that were moving between his fingers disappeared. They moved along his arm and appeared on his forehead. 2 symbols suddenly appeared on his forehead. Life Force Seal. The moment the symbol appeared, it quickly spread across his body. 1 symbol created 1 layer and 2 symbols created 2 layers. At this moment, those shattered pieces of sword had arrived and the flames from the sky descended, covering Wang Lin in attacks. At this moment, Wang Lin had the shattered sword pieces charging at him and the flames coming in from above. As the flames descended from the sky, they turned into 2 flame dragons. They moved around and roared just like real dragons as they charged toward him. The sound quickly entered Wang Lin's ears, causing his origin soul to shake. The dragons came at him growling and roaring, attempting to devour him. There was an earth-shattering bang that could be heard within 5,000 kilometers. It was so powerful that even the sky changed colors and countless cracks appeared on the earth. Countless ripples of spell fluctuations at the center of the explosion spread out in a massive shockwave. Even those waves of demonic energy were pushed back far until it finally calmed down. Shortly after, the demonic energy waves charged back like an army of galloping horses to once more cover the area. The black-robed man was standing inside this shock wave. Not only did he not show any signs of joy, but his eyes became very serious. He took a deep breath, quickly backed up several dozen feet, his hands began to form seals, and he stared dead on at the spot where the explosion took place, not even blinking once. The area of the explosion became dark as the demonic energy charged back in, but inside this darkness, a figure slowly walked out step by step. The figure's clothes flapped in the air without any wind, and there were sounds of howling coming from his right arm. If one looked closely, they would see something like a small snake moving between his fingers. As the figure slowly walked out, the expression of the black-robed man not far away darkened even more. The speed at which he formed his seals became even faster, and he also spat out some chants. As for the figure, after it walked a few steps, the demonic energy around him was split in half as if there was someone forcing them apart. At the moment the demonic energy split apart, the figure took 1 step and disappeared without a trace. Not good. The black-robed man didn't hesitate and quickly backed up. Just as he backed up, there was flash of silver light and a black thumb pressed down on where he was. All of this happened really fast, it wouldn't be wrong to say it happened in an instant. What quickly followed the thumb was the figure. He raised his head and looked at the black-robed man who had retreated far away. "You won't be able to dodge the next one. You aren't a member of the Da Lu Sword sect. You are the new disciple of the All-Seer, the Purple Division's 7th disciple, Wang Lin," the black-robed man coldly said. "What you used is probably the forbidden spell Finger of Death that made you famous during the birthday celebration." The black-robed man was very annoyed at the moment. He had heard about Wang Lin and had even seen what he looked from a piece of jade. After all, the disciples of the All-Seer were people that everyone on planet Tianyun paid attention to. Especially Wang Lin, whose sudden appearance shocked everyone. If it wasn't for the 6th disciple suddenly returning and beating Wang Lin due to having ascendant-level cultivation, then the title of true disciple would have belonged to him. How could people not pay attention to this kind of person? Also, the forbidden spell he used was very strange, it specialized in attacking people who were stronger. With that, how could people not pay extra attention to him? The black-robed man secretly sighed in his heart. If he had known Wang Lin's identity earlier, he wouldn't have acted so carelessly. Even though his opponent was at the mid-stage of soul transformation, he couldn't underestimate a disciple of the All-Seer. Although this Wang Lin had lost against an ascendant cultivator, he showed that he had very powerful attacks. Also, his various treasures caught the attention of many people. Even if the black-robed man could win, it would be very difficult to kill Wang Lin. After all, everyone on planet Tianyun knew that each of the All-Seer's disciples had a life-saving treasure. As long as the cultivation difference wasn't too great, it meant an extra life. The black-robed man secretly cursed and quickly backed up. He had no confidence in beating the person before him, so rather than wasting time, it'd be best to leave as soon as possible. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. At the moment the sword fragment and flames arrived, he used 2 layers of life force seals to block the power of both spells. After all, the black-robed man was a powerful cultivator at the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. However, the amount of celestial spiritual energy the man in black robes controlled was not something Wang Lin could compete with. So although Wang Lin stopped the attack, one of the life force seals had collapsed and disappeared forever. The life force seals were Wang Lin's insurance for the future. He spent all that effort to barely make 3, and now one of them was destroyed by the black-robed man. Although Wang Lin's heart ached for its loss, he was also filled with killing intent. Seeing that the enemy was not going to fight and going to retreat, Wang Lin's eyes became cold as he quickly chased after the man in black robes. He touched his bag of holding and the soul lasher immediately appeared in his hand. As he chased, he suddenly waved the whip. The black-robed man's face was gloomy as he suddenly turned around to try to grab the whip and shouted, "Ungrateful brat. Fine, today I'll teach you a lesson in place of your master." At the moment his hand reached toward the whip, 5 red points appeared on his fingers. The 5 red points seemed to move as his hand moved, creating a very mysterious feeling. At this moment, if one looked from a distance, the black-robed man's right hand wasn't moving but rather the 5 red points were. Then his right hand moved as fast as lightning and directly grabbed the soul lasher, which was flying over at a crazy speed. At the moment he grabbed the whip, the 5 red points on his fingers glowed brightly. Then the 5 points of light connected together to form a 5-star seal. The black-robed man shouted, "Restrict." Wang Lin sneered. He wasn't worried about the soul lasher at all, so he took a step and teleported toward the black-robed man instead of withdrawing the whip. At almost the moment Wang Lin teleported, the black-robed man's hand touched the soul lasher. Just as the black-robed man finished shouting, a ray of black light appeared at the tip of the whip and quickly spread across the whole whip. At the same time, the black light spread across the black-robed man's arm, and he let out a miserable groan. There was a sizzling sound coming from his arm, and even strands of white gas were coming off of it. The black-robed man quickly withdrew his hand and his eyes were filled with shock. He knew in his heart that his 5-blood seal was considered a top-quality seal, and it was used especially for sealing an enemy's treasure. In all his years of cultivating, he had used it against countless cultivators and it never failed. This was the first time it failed. At the moment he let go, all of the battle intent in his body disappeared. Just as he was about to retreat, the soul lasher flew out at a weird angle toward him. With a loud, whipping sound, the soul lasher hit his back as he was retreating. With one strike, his face immediately turned pale and his eyes revealed a never-before-seen mysterious light. A treasure that specializes in damaging the origin soul. The black-robed man took a deep breath. His feet didn't stop at all as he continued to escape. However, at this moment, the space around him bent and Wang Lin caught up. The black-robed man's eyes lit up and he let out a cold snort as he spat out a cloud of black smoke. After the black smoke appeared, it quickly surrounded Wang Lin. After doing this, the black-robed man didn't pause as he quickly moved through the incoming waves of demonic spiritual energy and disappeared without a trace. Just as Wang Lin appeared, he was surrounded by the black cloud that the black-robed man spat out. This black cloud was a very powerful poison, and he immediately felt a sharp pain when he spread out his divine sense. Without any hesitation, his hand formed a seal and he said, "Wind." With one word, a gust of wind flew through the black cloud, creating an opening. Just as the opening appeared, it began to close, but Wang Lin's body turned into a cloud of green smoke and escaped. After he reappeared, he dreaded the black-robed man even more. This black-robed man obviously had a lot of spells and treasures that he hadn't used. The reason he left was because he was shocked by Wang Lin's fame. He had probably heard about how Wang Lin had fought and lost to an ascendant cultivator but still had countless treasures to use. Although I don't know what sect he is from, for him to be here must mean he's from planet Tianyun and knows that all disciples of the All-Seer have a life-saving treasure. This matter is not a secret, and with his mental prowess, he probably considered it a ton of times. He probably realized that killing me wouldn't be easy, so he decided to retreat. I can't allow that person to live. Wang Lin's eyes became cold, and he quickly chased after the black-robed man. The two have moved one behind the other through the waves of demonic spiritual energy. The deeper one goes into the waves of demonic spiritual energy, the stronger the demon spirits become. They can take many different forms, but the one thing that never changes is that they all have horns on their heads. There were great differences in the power of these demon spirits. It depended on the amount of horns on their heads. Wang Lin and the black-robed man's location wasn't at the center of the demonic spiritual energy anymore, they were at the edge now. Here, the demon spirits were very weak, and that's why the black-robed man was able to survive and absorb demonic spiritual energy. As the two of them charged through the wave of demonic spiritual energy, many demon spirits popped out. However, they were all very weak and were destroyed by the two of them with just a simple wave of their hands. Every time a demon spirit died, a strand of demonic spiritual energy was absorbed by the person that killed it. As the black-robed man escaped, he frowned very hard. His body suddenly twisted to the side as if it had no bones, and just at this moment, a ray of black light scraped by his body. The black-robed man let out a cold snort as his body returned to normal. He then spread out his divine sense and found that Wang Lin was still chasing after him. Ungrateful bastard. This Wang Lin is stuck to me like bone marrow sticks to bone. So troublesome, especially that half-moon blade, it is simply too fast. If it wasn't for the fact that I came prepared, I would definitely suffer from it. If it wasn't for the fact that he has a treasure protecting him, I would kill him no matter what sect he was from and absorb his demonic spirit crystal. The black-robed man's expression was gloomy as he let out a cold snort. Then his hand began to form seals and a wave of demonic spiritual energy began to spread as if it didn't dare to get closer to him. There were now stands of black smoke coming from his hands, and they circled around both of his hands. He took a deep breath and suddenly pressed them on his chest. At the moment his hands touched his chest, those strands of black smoke quickly entered his body. The black-robed man revealed a painful expression and his eyes became bloodshot. At this moment, he looked very terrifying and as if he was enduring a lot of pain. As the black smoke continued to enter his body, he finally wasn't able to withstand it and began to roar madly into the sky. His voice shook the heavens, and the wave of demonic spiritual energy was pressured back by the roar. If one were to look from above, they would see that there was no demonic spiritual energy within 1,000 feet of him. The demonic spiritual energy that moved like an army of more than 10,000 galloping horses was forced back, creating this 1,000-foot wide dead zone. At this moment, Wang Lin caught up. He stopped 1,000 feet away and coldly looked at the man in black robes. The black-robed man was standing at the center. He suddenly raised his head as he stared at Wang Lin and slowly said, "You are courting death." With that, he raised his left hand and pointed at Wang Lin. Strands of black gas started coming out from his left hand like tentacles. Forbidden devil, the fourth heavenly ghost, appear. With that, his painful expression intensified, his eyes became even more bloodshot, and veins began to bulge on his body. The bulging moved all over his body, making it look very strange. It was as if there was an endless, mysterious force coming out of his chest and from his right arm into his left arm. The black tentacles began to move rapidly until they formed a ghostly figure. After this ghostly figure appeared, it let out a roar, but there was no sound. However, his roar caused the demonic spiritual energy to back up several dozen feet more. Wang Lin quickly backed up. Although he couldn't hear the sound with his ears, he could hear that roar that was trying to tear the heavens apart with his origin soul. The black-robed man shouted, "Release!" Although it was just one word, his voice was trembling. This showed just how much pain he was experiencing. With just one word, the ghostly figure spread out from the black-robed man's arm. The ghostly figure's eyes released a ghostly light as it stared at Wang Lin. It then let out a grin before charging toward him. Wang Lin's eyes lit up, and with one thought, the celestial sword flew out before him. With a slash, the celestial sword sent out a wave of sword energy. However, the ghostly figure opened its mouth and devoured the sword energy. As for the half-moon blade, it charged through the ghostly figure without doing any damage. When it tried to attack the black-robed man, the black tentacles intertwined, forming a thick layer of protection that prevented the half-moon blade from flying inside. As the ghostly figure rushed over, Wang Lin's face sank, and without a word, he opened his mouth to spit out a ray of black light. After a flash of the black light, a 30-foot-long flag appeared in his hand. After shaking the flag, the few remaining primary souls flew out. The ghostly figure was startled and its ghostly eyes lit up. Instead of rushing toward Wang Lin, it changed its target to the soul transformation primary souls. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he moved forward. He moved past the ghostly figure, tossed out the beast trap, and his index finger pressed down on the black-robed man. The black-robed man's face darkened, then his left hand reached out toward the ghostly figure and he shouted, "Return!" The ghostly figure let out a roar and seemed very unyielding. The man secretly cursed. He was in no condition to keep controlling the ghostly figure, and Wang Lin's figure was closing in like lightning. Wang Lin's right index finger pointed at the air, and at this moment, the celestial spiritual energy inside his body began to gather at the tip of his finger. Demonic Finger. The second of the 3 killing spells. With the power of one finger, the sky changed color and an endless surge of demonic spiritual energy came from his body. At this moment, the demonic spiritual energy spread out like crazy. Without the black-robed man to control it, the ghostly figure quickly charged toward the primary souls Wang Lin released. In its eyes, these soul fragments were very nutritious, and maybe after devouring them, its own ghostly energy would increase greatly. Demonic Finger. The black-robed man was able to immediately recognize Wang Lin's famous move. This move was used against the 4th disciple of the Purple Division and left a powerful impression on everyone. The black-robed man's eyes lit up. His right hand couldn't leave his chest because he would lose control of the ghostly figure if it did. Right now, in the moment of danger, he quickly backed up and spat out another black cloud. A wave of fishy smell came out with the black cloud. The poisonous, black cloud quickly scattered in an attempt to stop Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a cold snort as 2 grey symbols flashed on his forehead and covered his entire body. The life force seals appeared once more. At the moment they covered his body, Wang Lin moved like lightning through the poison cloud. When the poison cloud touched Wang Lin's body, it dissipated. The black-robed man continued to back up and spit out endless black clouds in an attempt to stop Wang Lin. His plan was to teleport toward the ghostly figure he released earlier. However, who would have thought that this poison would have little effect on Wang Lin? Just at the instant he was about to teleport, Wang Lin's figure charged through layers of the poison cloud. What came with Wang Lin was that powerful finger filled with endless demonic spiritual energy. Demonic Finger. The black-robed man's expression changed. He couldn't dodge it in time, so he quickly raised his left hand to form a seal. He then pressed this seal toward Wang Lin's finger to stop Wang Lin's approach. Their fingers touched in an instant. However, they didn't directly touch, there was a 3-inch gap between their fingers. There was something strange going on in those 3 inches of space. Wang Lin's demonic spiritual energy spread out from the tip of his finger and collided with the black energy coming from the black-robed man's finger. At this moment, a very dark, black ball appeared between their 2 fingers.